Welcome everyone. It's the Friday edition of Morning Spring TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and we are indeed grateful to God for life. Thank you for joining us and being a part of our world since the beginning of the week till today. It's Morning Spring this day, 15th day of November 2024. This day breaks the month into two equal halves, and it's the 300 rather, and 90th day of the year. We're grateful to God for life. It's a great feeling to be alive. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei, welcoming you on board this beautiful morning. Femi, good morning to you, and how are you doing?
But I'm doing well. I'm alive. Up and grateful.
Up and grateful.
And thank God it's Friday as well. TGI. So, how do you do?
I'm good, I'm great,
Yeah.
I'm alive. And I should correct that 320th day of the year, not 390th day.
All right. It's always good, especially on when you're talking about official working days. I was dressing up and then I remember today is Friday. More like, thank God, at least. We have done what we should do for this
Yeah,
week, and we are grateful and
yeah.
much more grateful to God for life and very appreciative of you as well. For staying with us here at your station of choice where we say it as it is. Femi Ojo is my name. Thank you for joining us today. And the papers are in, and we know you are ready. We are as well. Stay with us. All right, the Guardian newspaper is my first, uh, you know, pick up store today, and oil-backed loans. OPEC quarters threatened federal government 47.9 trillion naira budget plan. Oil-backed loans, OPEC quarters threatened federal government's 47.9 trillion naira budget plan. That's on the front page of The Guardian. And just below that, you have the picture of the gentleman, some of the gentlemen who will be, hoping that good people of Ondo State, you know, vote them in, Loki Aida Tiwa, the incumbent governor. In fact, with the other gentlemen there, Bola Jai, Abbas Mimiko, Mr. Edem of the NNPP, all of them gone in for that seat in Akure. On Dogoba election, systemic distrust, voter apathy, economic hardship may maple. Many of these civil society organizations, NGO, have been releasing the expectation of the election or what they have observed going into the election. And for most of them, they believe the money banks and the party that spends more will possibly carry the day because the idea, the policies, the promises appears not to be resonating with the people again. Many of them are tired, so it's more like a smaller percentage. You might want to say, okay, these are party or these my person or my place or my support, and then many more people will come out to receive what the money bags have to offer rather, even when it's not constitutional, but it is what it is. Systemic distrust that speaks for itself. Voter apathy and economic hardship may mar poll, especially what is happening in the nation, which many persons believe this is not paying me. There is nothing I'm gaining from what is going on. I won't go out again and do any of those things. And many will say, okay, maybe there might be, one or two coins that might be up for grabs. Sadly, this is the reality. NHRC reports 427,000 human rights violations in October. NHRC reports 427,000 human rights violations in October, and Lagos others revocation of unoccupied housing unit. Revocation rather. Lagos others revocation of unoccupied housing unit. Okay, I hope they will do their due diligence before just taking over, such facility. And military orders will stay neutral. TDS vows as INEC distributes materials in Ondo. That's what you should do, actually. $5.5 billion recapitalization calls heighten as vandals destroy 119 electricity towers. We keep saying it. We should take care of those things and treat those that will not agree with us like who they are, enemies of the state. Atiku advises Tinubu to focus on governance, not 2027. Interesting one. And federal government secures $134 million AFDB loan to boost food production. Here we go. And oil production to hit 2 million barrels per day in 2 months. NNPCL says, and NCC restricts mobile network operators to 7 tariff plans from 369. Okay, you want a detail of that? It's on the business page 18 of The Guardian. That's all from the front page.
And from the Guardian newspaper this morning, we head on to Vanguard. Vanguard newspaper. And Vanguard newspaper is focusing largely on the 2025 budget this morning. As you can see, that's the big bold headline on its front page. 2025 budget, FEC okays 47.9 trillion naira. FG to borrow 13.83 trillion naira. With some riders there, budget assumptions, exchange rate at 1,400 naira to a dollar. Oil price benchmark $75. Oil production 2.06 billion barrels per day. I beg your pardon. 2.06 barrels per day. Exports fault assumptions described budget as ambitious. IMF report Nigeria absent in good news, included in bad news. This is on the Vanguard newspaper for today. We can say that we have already entered into the season of budgets. You hear more of states. Osun State governor has also presented his own budget to the State House of Assembly. Right. So from time to time, you will hear states presenting the budget. And, this is at the center, national. And FEC has approved it, so it's on to the National Assembly for consent, for approval right now. But, we've always said that it's not about you just approving budget. It's about also looking at the performance of the last budget. How much did you achieve? When the last appropriation act, what was it used for? Was it used for that which it was appropriated for? I think we should normalize performance, of our budgets, so it doesn't look like the governors or the presidents just come up with a figure and they approve and that's it. That's on it this morning. That's the big one on Vanguard newspaper this morning. Let's check out what we have on Daily Trust newspaper for today. Daily Trust newspaper, FG proposes, again, still focusing on the 2025 budget, FG proposes 47.9 trillion naira budget for 2025, with the riders, PEX crude oil at $75, exchange rate at 1,400 naira to the dollar. Proposal too ambitious, will balloon debt. Inflation figures, says an expert. Nigeria eyes $57.4 billion crude revenue as NNPC surpasses 1.8 million barrels per day. And still on Daily Trust newspaper this morning, coalition condemns arrest of woman for criticizing banditry in Sokoto. Coalition condemns arrest of woman for criticizing banditry in Sokoto. These are the issues. This one is speaking against what is against the state. He's speaking against state actors, and you are
and the enemies of our own soul.
So why should she be arrested for calling out these guys, these bad guys, and also probably calling out the government to do
Yeah.
what they are supposed to do. Now, when we talk about people being enablers of the government, these are the issues. This is one person that is trying to, move away from the norm of praising the leaders even when
Wasn't
things
anything.
are
Yeah.
not
I'm not
going
working.
right. And look at what has become
She
of
has
her.
gotten. Yeah.
Really, this is a sad one, especially for our democracy.
Unfortunate. Actually.
Democracy is government for the people, by the people, of the people. So it's all about the people. The people is at the central
Yeah.
of everything democracy.
Yeah.
So
It
when the
should be.
people are removed from a democracy, then what do you have?
Nothing.
You have nothing,
Nothing.
exactly. All right, concerns over cash squeeze in states despite increased CBN supply. With riders, POS operators, customers accuse banks of rationing. I've heard about this over and over time again, especially from POS operators. When you go to, they tell you they don't give us enough cash. I went to the bank to collect 100,000 naira, and I was given 20,000 naira. So how do you expect us to use that to work? This is what we use for business.
They tell you to use other payment platforms.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to do.
Grains merchants mop up notes to visit local markets, and shortage in Ondo ahead of governorship election. Amazing. We had Mr. Bukola Odo, and he told us that more likely as usual, we're going to have vote buying, massive vote buying in Ondo State. The politicians are already stacking up, allegedly stacking up their pockets and their stores and their, rooms with lots of cash just to buy the vote of people. This is not the way democracy is actually run. You are supposed to present your policies, present your ideas to the people, and if they like what you're bringing to the table, they say, yes, we like this guy, we want to go with this guy, and they go with you. It's not about you buying up their conscience just because you have nothing, absolutely nothing to offer. And Femi,
even those the owners of the conscience are looking for who to sell it to. Many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because they've weaponized
Highest bidder.
poverty. Look at how many people can afford 3 square meals? What am I saying? How many people can afford 2
or even 1
meals?
And then you
a
drop
good
10,000 on their table just to go and just press something
And
which they don't trust.
Some people will believe that if I collect the money, whether or not I collect the money,
what will be?
That speaks to the distrust you took on the Guardian newspaper. People have this massive distrust for those at the end of affairs. Yeah, so they believe the 10,000 naira, the 20,000 naira, the 5,000 naira you're going to give to me. That is what I would gain from this government, because I know I will never gain anything from this government, which is not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. All right, and that will be all from the front page of Daily Trust newspaper for today.
Right, the Nigerian Tribune is next. Nigerian Tribune, Ondo election. Military deploys troops. IGP others tight security. I have lots of riders here. INEC distributes sensitive materials to 18 local government areas. PDP accuses ruling party of violating peace accord. It's an attempt to divert attention from your impending defeat, APC replies, and Damagum governors lead PDP final campaign rally. All right, and I'm sure that has stopped since yesterday, because by our laws, by today, nothing should be had as far as campaign, publicity, advocacy. The only advocacy that should be heard should be from maybe observers and any other person urging people to come out, but it should not be on partisan basis at all. These are the issues. Now, moving away, and by the way, all the best, and trust us here at Western Spring Television on our sister station at Rave 91.7 FM to be on ground and say it as it is, observing the proceedings from the nooks and crannies of Ondo State. Stay with us all day. Tomorrow, you have it. Now, moving on. NNPCL reaches 1.8 million barrels per day crude oil production, denies stopping fuel import. And okay, investment security bill, CBN wants against new powers proposed for set by the Senate. UCH still owing 392 million naira electricity bill management, and I think that should be probed. Monies, earmarked for this payment, and it has not been done, or is the budget being overshot? These are the issues as well, and I think there should be an understanding between the electricity distributor there, that's IBDC, and the management of that institution. How can we make this work?
Yeah.
Instead of everybody just doing whatever they have to do, and which is living, or which has left the people stranded, and many possibly losing their lives unnecessarily because of death. Below that, 4 deaths in Shaki linked to suspected Lassa fever. Again, 4 deaths in Shaki linked to suspected Lassa fever. Shaki is in Oyo State. And FEC approves 47.9 trillion naira 2025 budget, set to borrow 13.8 trillion naira, target economic growth and stability, for whatever that means. Those words is appearing ambiguous right now. Economic growth and stability, these are the issues. I think the last budget was around 38 trillion naira. And how has he performed? Just like Evelyn said, okay, we wait for the president to do the needful, on this matter. And we must talk more. And we can't just allow our leaders drop the document there, and the assembly, either the state or national level, will just do some shoddy job. Even I remember, which has always been, by the way, even these outgoing the budget we are running, in which you are seeing some MDAs having contract project that doesn't have anything to do with them, like Nigeria Marine and Oceanography, whatever, constructing road in one village, and we see some project as seminar on peace and conflict resolution to some kings somewhere in Lagos State, traditional rulers, and being under, taken by some funny MDAs that doesn't have anything to do with that. And I just would say, these are what some people, it's not oversight. These are what some people do. They just find a place, just impute those things, and later they come for it. But that is where those assembly, this is where they come up. Because at the end of the day, those documents will now be broken down and handed over to different committees of the House or the National Assembly. Okay, something about maritime, there is a committee for that, security, education, and it's the work of these individuals, the committee members, to invite those persons that have something to do with it and check through lines by lines to know that, does this have anything to do with you? How much are you going to do for that? What is the economic importance? And these are the questions. How does this, how will this favor the people? This thing that you want to embark on. And these are some of the things that we should be doing. But it shows that the work of that scrutiny, scrutinizing the document for the benefit of all of us, it's one thing, and it's one thing that we should be talking about. Now, on this part, how thorough, and by the way, he's part of the distrust. Not trusting the executive is one hand. I think people have more distrust for the various assemblies because they believe they are appendages.
They're just an extension of the executive. That's what they believe. They think this houses of assemblies, the National Assembly, are just an extension of the executive. It's like you having another ministry, under the executive that is called maybe Ministry of Legislation. That's what it. Honestly, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
And it should not be. And if you check, in fact, many persons, social scientists will tell you, possibly the legislature does the most important job. It's because they can check and balance the judiciary. They can check and balance the executive as well, and show themselves to be above and beyond. But this is not what we've seen. We've seen a commissioner in a state not too far from us who came to defend the budget, and because she, it's a friend of the executive, a family member, was just told to take a bow and go. And these are some of the things that we see in that particular ministry.
Yeah.
These are some of the, this is not, and when you speak about these things, you see the handlers tag you as anti-government,
Yeah.
enemy of, their soul, whatever soul they are carrying at this time. And the picture here on the National Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune, is sadly that of a gallant officer, the most gallant as far as the Nigerian Army is concerned, before who is now late. The remains of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, arrive in Abuja on Thursday for his burial day. These are the things, and of course, it will be a field day in Abuja, not about funfair, but about doing the needful for somebody who has rose from just an officer to the number one man, but then in which life happened to. And, the remains, you could see the ceremonial thing. And then, of course, we expect the big wigs all over the nation to gather in Abuja to pay him that respect. And all of us, Evelyn and I, the production team, all of us from this end, we pay our tribute as well to the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, the widow, the children, and everybody, and the good people of Ilobu here in Ocean State. He has done his bit.
Yeah.
The rest is left to us. That will be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, we head on to the Nation newspaper this morning. And also the Nation is focusing on the 2025 budget. FEC approves 47.9 trillion naira as 2025 budget estimates. Lawmakers to get proposal. We're waiting for that. This one here says NNPCL raises crude production to 18 million barrels per day. NNPCL raises crude production to 1.8, I beg your pardon, 18 million. I had to rethink that. 1.8 million barrels per day. And Okwabolo freezes government's account. Trial of 109 foreigners stalled. And the top story, the Nation newspaper this morning, AFDB's $134 million loan for farmers to enhance seeds production. And Coursemates eulogized General Lagbaja at service of songs. And Super Eagles qualify for Morocco 2025 Cup of Nations. How do you feel, Femi?
I feel good. Even before they played their match yesterday, their plays at the AFCON have been confirmed because Libya beat Rwanda. So the point that the Super Eagles have is unassailable. So definitely. And they went ahead to beat the Beninoa yesterday. So I wish them all the best. I think these are time. And not just as a Nigerian. When you check the performance of the Nigerian boys, many of them are playing their trades at the biggest stage in Europe, and they are peaking. When somebody peaks, when you peak and everybody, like 11 of them, you can see like 7 or 8 of them are peaking at the right time, and you have the right spirit in the camp, they should go a long way. The last time we won was in 2013. Maybe we should give it a shot again. I wish them all the best.
So you think we're going to make a difference this
I think
time?
so. Who is the biggest threat? Maybe Senegal. I think that's the biggest threat that on the African continent. Senegal, and I think we can do it, boys for boys, men to men.
Okay.
Yeah, and I hope the boys will be injury free at that competition as well.
Wait and see. And lastly, from the Nation newspaper this morning, not lastly, this one here says Supreme Court delivers judgment today in States versus EFCC case.
Okay.
The history is about to be made again. Let's see what the verdict would be. Is it going to be against the EFCC or against the states? On the 2024, CDS assures of security agencies' impartiality. Why we stepped down for Ayedatiwa, and PDP urges voters not to allow intimidation. PDP urges voters not to allow intimidation. APC, PDP accuse each other of violating peace accord. It's always the accusation and counter accusations for me. the allegations and counter allegations for me during elections. One party A saying, "Oh, you did this, but if you know it was your camp," it's all drama, and sometimes it can get funny, and sometimes it can get really, really not funny,
Yeah,
especially
messy.
when it has to do with shedding of blood or violence where people are
And you know
injured or
what this
killed.
counter accusation and counter accusation do? They scare people from coming. Because
Yeah,
if people hear this, then people might have that thought of maybe things might get ugly
yeah,
and then
yeah,
they won't come out. And
yeah.
just let's leave it for them.
Yeah, they'll tell you my blood is not worth
And
they'll tell you Nigeria is not worth dying for in
yeah,
court.
exactly.
But then that will be all from the Nation newspaper this morning, and for the newspaper review segment
Right.
for today.
All right. And we'll take this quick break. When we return, we'll have the conversation and you don't want to miss it at all. Stay with us.